And let's talk about Gower Champion. Again, last week we watched Marge and Gower, and we watched him up until about halfway through Hello Dolly. But Gower Champion knew that the audience needed anticipation of Dolly Levi's arrival in the second act. And Gower Champion also knew that once the song Hello Dolly had become somewhat of a hit because of Louis Armstrong, that they really needed to create tremendous anticipation, changing the name of the musical to Hello Dolly from its original title, Dolly Levi, a Very Exasperating Woman. So why is the screen not moving? Wonderful. Here we go. This is the opening to the second act.
Mr. Hackle, we just loved looking at the lights of 42nd Street for the past 4 hours, but now perhaps you better call us a hack, or we won't make it to the Harmonia Gardens on time. Oh, look over there's one.
Oh, we couldn't do that, Mrs. Malloy. It isn't the money or anything like that. No. It's just that nowadays, elegant people never take hacks.
Hacks is out.
They all go by streetcars.
Streetcars is it? Just think! I've been elegant all my life and never do it!
Of course, if you want to be really elegant,
We do!
you walk. Yes, New York. It's really us, Barnaby and Cornelius.
All the guests of Mr. Hackle are feeling great and look spectacular.
What a heck!
There is to acting like a born aristocrat. We not elegant if you ain't not elegant. You can never, ever carry.
Tall, far, well-bred and green, they have pedigree.
Exercise your wildest whims tonight. We are out with diamond tips tonight. Could they be misleading us?
Silver spoons were used for feeding us. We not elegant.
If you ain't not
Elegant, you can never, ever carry.
middle class, don't speak of it, staff warfare. Weary of it, some were born with rags and patch, but we use dollar bills for match. And Kinder bills kowtows to us.
J.P. Morgan scrapes and bows to us.
We got
Elegant, we were born with elegance. Have you noticed when I hold my cup, the saucer never moves?
and the way I keep my pinky up, and you would only prove that we got elegance. We got built in elegance, We'll carry it Maybe look, they're counting their money again. Isn't that just like the rich? Well, gentlemen, aren't you going to escort us in?
Of course, Mrs. Malloy. Barnaby? Mrs. Malloy?
Yes, Mr. Hackle?
Mrs. Malloy, as we start inside, may I?
Yes, Mr. Hackle?
May I put my arm around your waist?
Yes, Mr. Hackle. But I might as well warn you. A corset is a corset.
And there you go, leading up to this. Now, the next thing that happens that Gower Champion created in this anticipation is the Waiter's Gallop. Originally, there was a song here that Horace had called Call My Butterfly, where he got caught up in an act that was being performed at the Harmonia Gardens. But Gower Champion reworked it. He thought it got in the way of what really the story was about. And he created this phenomenal ballet sequence. So again, remember, Gower Champion loved a staircase and he loved props. You're going to see all of that play out as he creates the anticipation for Dolly to enter the Harmonia Gardens 20 minutes into the second act.
Und dies ist mein Order, es geht mit aus Harmonia Garden Freischott und your Supreme Commander. That tonight of all nights, our usual lightning sailors will be twice as lightning as ever. Orders! Table satisfactory, sir. The private dining rooms cost a bit more, but they do offer the best beauty entertainment.
$1, Cornelius. There's all that's left. Are you sure it's running again?
Prepare yourself for a big night, Minnie. Rob with two of New York's best of sports.
Oh, I didn't make a mistake, Cornelius. It's only 90 cents. Oh, I'll count it once more. No, we can't afford it.
I'm going to order everything on the menu. Waiter!
Party.
And who do you think I am? Only it's Horace Vandergelder owned party. She's in my owned party. I ain't in hers.
Mr. Vandergelder, of course, it's just that Mrs. Levi mentioned nothing about you bringing
my personal physician. That's enough rouge, Doctor.
But Mrs. Levi only ordered a chicken for two.
Chicken? Chicken's a deer.
Und Pâté Maison, soupe de jour und bon soufflé.
Why didn't you tell me this was a Chinese restaurant? Take 2 bowls of rice. Now get out. Now, this money. I understand you carry respectable sums in your belt.
Yeah, $2. Only it's in my garden. You ashamed of something?
Not at all. I just felt a slight chill.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so? Yeah, I'll loan you this. Now, let's order something to hold us till the rice comes. Waiter! What'd you bring? A roast suckle and pig with chestnut and oyster stuffing, cheese fondue, and some lady fingers. Now, what'll you have? Hey, you, with the big ears, what are you doing after the show?
It's sweet of you to worry about our digestion, Cornelius, but I'm sure the pheasants are fresh. We'll take 4, please, and a nice red wine.
Wait a minute, no wine! No wine. Champagne! Champagne and Neapolitan ice cream and hot house peaches! Once in a lifetime, Barnaby, give the bandolier a nickel. No, 2 nickels. And tell them to play to a wild rose. We want music while we dine!
This is a cafe, isn't it? Let's dance!
No. 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 The band of elders do not dance, Miss Money. We're Presbyterian.
All right, I dance myself. Give him $2 for the band leader, will ya? And tell him to play something refined. I'm gonna do the hoochie coochie.
All right, Cornelius, I'll stand for the band leader, but promise you won't order anything else.
You wait here, Miss Money. I'll tell them to play a nice waltz.
So you can see the props, the use of the staircase, classic Gower Champion. Well, to show you how the Gower Champion choreography traveled no matter when you did a professional production of Hello Dolly. This is from the London, a salute to Dolly, to Carol Channing in London in 1992.
Gentlemen, the one and only.
Hello, Harry. Well, hello, Louie. It's so nice to be back home where I belong. You're looking swell, Manny. I can tell, Danny. You're still glowing, you're still crowing, you're still going strong. I feel the room swaying, for the band's playing one of my old favorite songs from way back when. So bridge that gap, fellas, find me an empty lap, fellas. Dolly'll never go away again.
Hello, darling. Well, hello, darling. It's so nice to have you back where you belong. You're looking swell, darling. We can tell, darling. You're still flowing, you're still flowing, you're still going strong. We feel the room swaying for the band, playing one of your old favorite songs way back when. So
Here's my hat, fellas. I'm staying where I'm at, fellas.
promise you'll never go away again.
I went away from the lights of 14th Street and into my personal haze. But now that I'm back in the lights of 14th Street, tomorrow will be brighter than the good old days. Glad to see you, Hank. Let's thank my lucky star. You're looking great, Stanley. Lose some weight, Stanley. Dolly's overjoyed and overwhelmed and overpowered. And I still get glad you brought you handsome man. So, golly gee, fellas, find me a vacant lead, fellas.
So you notice, again, the staircase was important, and this choreography travels with Hello Dolly whenever you see it. Again, here we go, just to give you a sense. This is from I wanted to show you this because it's quite important, showing you how the choreography traveled from one production to This was the Pearl Bailey reincarnation of it in 1967. I wanted you to see it again. And again, every time this is done, it just stops the show with applause. Now, I want to just show you Bette Midler doing the end of the first act. Again, this was something that they realized had to happen to make Hello Dolly work. And you'll get to see the soliloquy and the finale of the first act.
Every evening for all these years, I put out the cat. I locked the door, I made myself a little rum toddy, and before I went to bed, I said a prayer, thanking God that I was independent and that no one else's life was mixed up with mine. Then one night, an oak leaf fell out of my Bible. I placed it there when you asked me to marry you, Edward. A perfectly good oak leaf, but now without color and without life. And I suddenly realized that I was like that oak leaf. For years I had not shed a single tear, nor had I been filled with the wonderful hope that something or other would turn out well. And so I've decided to rejoin the human race. And Ephraim, I want you to give me away. The parade passes by. I'm gonna get in step while there's still time left before the parade passes by.
Mrs. Levi, come along. Cornelius is taking us down to see the 14th Street Parade. Everybody will be marching.
Why, Irene, you're crying. Oh, Dolly, the world is full of wonderful things.
Come with us, Dolly.
I will, Irene. I will. Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna go and chase Saturday's highlights. Before the parade me if my old friend is showing all of those lines over there. Seem to be telling me where I'm going. And the whistle blow and the cymbals crash and the sparklers light the sky. I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone, give me an old baton, give me the parade.
Listen and hear the brass harmony rolling with the parade. Passes by, heart in the air, my old spirit is showing. All those lights over there seem to be telling me where I'm going. When the whistles blow and the cymbals crash and the sparklers light the sky, I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone, give me an old baton, give me the parade. Pass it by. I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone, give me an old baton, give me the parade. Pass it by.
Now, again, every time this number is done in a professional production, Gower Champion's choreography travels with it. Now, I Do is the next musical that Gower Champion directs. It's a two-person musical based upon a play called The Four Poster, written by Janda Hartog, originally starring Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy, rewritten into a musical that became immensely profitable because it only required two people, and it was Mary Martin and Robert Preston, the chronicle of a 50-year marriage. Now imagine two people carrying an entire musical on their backs by themselves. Come on, work. Should work.
12 years married, dressing to go out to a party, Agnes and Michael have their first argument.
Michael,
Huh?
you know something?
No.
You've changed.
And so have you.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Oh.
Nobody's perfect. I am human, so are you.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Now here is what we ought to plan to do. Let's make a list of irritating habits that we think the other person has.
Then once we know our irritating habits, we can correct them
As for example, now please don't be offended, but because these things exist, I have taken the little liberty of fixing a bulletin list. Now you're sure you don't mind?
Oh, I am absolutely sure.
Well, I think that's very big of you.
Well, you see, dear, it just so happens that I have made up a little listing, too. A pair of socks does not represent the end of the civilized world. If you're out of socks, believe me when I say that there's bound to be a more effective way to get them washed than to stand in your drawers in the middle of the kitchen screaming. Someone has stolen my sock.
This is a piece of paper. This is a column which, as you see, I have placed on the piece of paper. This is a list of receipts and bills, what we might call household expense, which I have entered along this line, forming a business-like design inside the column which I've prepared upon this piece of paper. This is a total of all those bills. It represents a month's expense, the whole outlay in checks and cash that went for the rent and the corned beef hash. In short, the sum and net result of all the figures inside the column which I've prepared upon this piece of paper. Now this, as you know, is a statement from the bank. It must be compared with the total result of all the figures inside the column if we are to know in terms of cost just how much money we've made or lost, how far, in fact, we've come or gone. What I'm trying to say is, honey, you're overdrawn. Again.
You chew in your sleep.
Do what?
You chew. You go like this.
I don't.
You do.
I've never done that one time in my life.
Darling, please remember, I'm your wife. You chew in your sleep. You do it frequently.
But that's absolutely awful.
I quite agree.
You are always late.
You are always early.
We're totally dressed and ready to go. I open the door, but do we make it? No. It's where are my gloves, my gloves, my gloves, and where is my purse, my purse, my purse? Where are my keys? Where is my hat? Where is my this? Where is my that? If I protest, it only makes it worse. Hat and gloves, keys and purse, pain in the neck, terrible curse, and I would simply like to state that if you ask me what I hate, it's the terrible, horrible habit you have of always being late.
Oh, when I start to tell a story, an amusing anecdote I've read. When I start to tell a funny story, I get flustered because I know what lies ahead. It always happens just when I start to tell a story. It makes no difference where we are. When I get where the joke should be, you say it just ahead of me. I mean to say it's wrong. You take the part that's best.
Every night since we've been wed, you've worn cold cream into bed. Every night beneath the sheet, must you look like trick or treat?
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I am human, so are you.
Nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect. Now here is what we ought to plan to do. You take my list and see if you can do a little better.
And you take mine and see if you can notice and improve.
Because nobody's perfect, especially not you.
Not you, not you, not you, not you, not you, not you.
Now, the next musical that Gower Champion directed probably got killed because of his direction. At Expo 67, they had just invented, something that we take for granted today, which is the IMAX system. And this story, a simple story about a father and son and a photographer, Gower Champion overused the IMAX photography process. Now, I will also tell you the script may not have been the best. The musical was only fair, but Gower Champion's direction just didn't help it. Next, was the musical Mac and Mabel. Now, there hadn't been a musical that Gower Champion directed for a while. He had gone back to California. He was totally much happier there, didn't like New York, and by this point, he and Marge had separated and divorced. He now is, taking up a life in the 70s. He was, getting into cocaine and drugs and doing things that everybody else did. I think what you could say is Gower Champion was having a midlife crisis. But he's brought back to direct the story of Mabel Normand and Max Sennett. One of the problems being nobody maybe even knew who these people were anymore. And Mabel Normand was a famous comedian. She was in the two reelers that Max Sennett used to produce, The Perils of Pauline, The Keystone Cops, The Perils of Pauline, etc. And what he created was a magnificent use of choreography to tell the story of the silent screens. Well, Mac and Mabel got just murdered in its reviews. It's become a cult musical for Jerry Herman's score, which was totally ignored at the time. But Mac and Mabel, it's a big curiosity. It told the story well. It's never been revived. And as a matter of fact, it's been revived in London with success, but never in the United States. But it's Gower Champion's choreography that again sets the tone of movie making in the 1920s.
Movies when Pauline was tied to the track, after she trudged through the ice with a babe on her back. Girls at the seashore would stand, all in a row in the sand, rolling their stockings an inch and a quarter below the line of decency. And Swanson and Keaton and Dressler and William S. Hart, no one pretended that what we were doing was art. We had some guts and some luck, but we were just making a buck. Movies were movies when I ran the show. That what we were doing was art. We had some guts and some luck, but we were just making a buck. Movies were movies when I ran the show.
picture she was plain little Nellie, but straight from the deli, but mother of God, what happened to Mabel? Someone who was made of mutton on Swedish tuna, then a button and the girl with the pickles who possums for nickels who found the seal of what happened to Mabel. Every gesture and position that she takes is smart and meticulous. Talk about this magic that the pepper makes.
More snow!
But this is ridiculous.
All right, let's get those horses ready, boys. All right, boys, you ready? Mabel, and action. Mabel, behind you. Look.
Hold your tongue and hold your snickers for the new enchantress of the flickers is that plain little Nellie.
That plain little Nellie.
The kid from the deli.
Kid from the deli.
So rattle me beans. Look what happened to Mabel.
Now, this featured all of the typical Gower Champion phenomenon, lots of props. And what happened was they lost track of the production. Gower, it opened in large venues, and they kept thinking, excuse me, gonna sneeze. They kept thinking that the reason the audience, excuse me, didn't connect with it was the size of the venues, and that just wasn't the case. The script, written by Michael Stewart, just was all over the place. His next musical that Gower Champion directed was another odd one, Rockabye Hamlet. It started in Toronto as a rock musical, and by the time it got to New York, it was so over the top and out of sync that it failed dismally. And at this point in time, Gower Champion just retreated to California, was just busy in his own world, and was totally done with the Broadway stage until 1980 when David Merrick reached out again. David Merrick had gotten the idea, having seen a chorus line being promoted every week in the New York Times as a 42nd Street for a new generation. He decided, why not, David Merrick, to buy the rights to 42nd Street and stage it. Well, it wasn't really David Merrick's 42nd Street. He didn't write the script. He didn't write the music, but you can see how he presented it. And David Merrick is a part of this story that's really quite tragic and sad.
I'm sorry, Mr. Marsh. Show business isn't for me. I'm going.
I just want to make sure we're in the right place. Yeah. Well, the Gower Champion choreography is legendary. And again, as I show you the different sequences of 42nd Street, you're going to notice all of the things that Gower Champion is known for. Use of props, use of levels, and steps.
I'm sorry, Mr. Marsh. Show business isn't for me. I'm going back to Allentown.
What was that word you just said? Allentown? I'm offering you a chance to star in the biggest musical Broadway's seen in 20 years, and you say Allentown? Now listen, Sawyer, and listen good. Even if you don't give a damn about me, think of all those kids you'll be throwing out of work if you don't do this. Think of the songs that will wither and die if you don't get up there and sing them. Think of the costumes that will never be seen, the scenery never seen, the orchestrations never heard. Think of our show and the thrill and pleasure it could give to millions. Think of musical comedy, the most glorious words in the English language. Sawyer, think of Broadway, damn it! Come on along and listen to the lullaby of Broadway. The hip hooray and ballyhoo. The lullaby of Broadway. The rumble of the subway train. The rattle of the taxis, the daffodils who entertain at Angelo's and Maxie's when a Broadway baby says good night. It's early in the morning. Manhattan babies don't sleep tight until the dawn. Good night, baby. Good night. Milkman's on his way. Sleep tight, baby. Sleep tight. Let's call it a day. Listen to the lullaby of old Broadway.
Come on along and listen to the lullaby of Broadway.
The lullaby of Broadway. The rain is out of town, and everyone goes crazy. You rock about your baby road, and everything gets easy. Hush, my lullaby, listen that. You hear a guy saying, and baby goes home to her flat to sleep already.
Let's call it a
Day.
Listen to the lullaby of Come on along and listen to the lullaby of Broadway. The hooray and ballyroo, the lullaby of Broadway.
The rumble of the subway train, the rattle of the taxi.
The daffodils who entertain until the
Listen to the lullaby of
Again, everything that Gower Champion loved, and creating these great images using levels and staircases. Oh, so let me back up a minute. I want to tell you about this. You'll notice that in the opening of 42nd Street, the curtain gets stuck. And when they were rehearsing it at the Kennedy Center, the curtain got stuck one day, and all you could see was dancing feet. Gower Champion liked it so much, he kept it that way. But in the meantime, when Gower Champion was rehearsing this in Washington, he checked himself into GW Hospital. He suffered from a rare blood disease, and he had to get several transfusions that seemed to get him back into shape. Now, again, you can see the brilliant use of choreography, but this is another sequence from 42nd Street. Again, this is from the recent revival. Gower Champion, as all of the other choreographer directors of the era, wrote into the contracts of the play that when 42nd Street would be revived in any professional company, that his choreography traveled with it.
You got it! Now pull it up! I gotta wait for the gum to stick. It's stuck now, pull it up! Watch out for the subway grating! I got it! Well, what is it? A penny? A nickel? Would you hold your horses and let me get the dirt off? A dime! We're in the money. We're in the money. We got a lot of what it takes to get along. We're in the money. The skies are sunny. Oh, that depression, you are through. You've done us wrong. We never see a headline about a red line today. And when we see the landlord, we can look that guy right in the eye. We're in the money. Come on, my honey. Let's spend it, lend it, send it,
Well, there's another again, using the props, using the levels. This is what Gower Champion was known for. This truly becomes his masterpiece. Now, I'm going to point out, if you remember back to several of the movies I showed you last week of Gower, they created ballet sequences. And this is one that Gower created here, using the ballet storytelling that he often used so well.
What is it? What the hell's wrong?
I don't think I can do the rest of the show. I can't remember a single lyric.
You will do the rest of the show. And without any mistakes. And without that thing either. I'm Julian Marsh, damn it. And I say, you will.
In the heart of little old New York, you'll find a thoroughfare. It's the part of little old New York that runs into Times Square. A crazy quilt that Wall Street Jack built. If you've got a little time to spare, I want to take you there. Come to meet those dancing feet on the avenue I'm taking you to. Come and meet those dancing feet on the avenue I'm taking you to, 42nd Street. Hear the beat of dancing feet. It's the song I love, the melody of 42nd Street. Little nifties from the 50s, innocent and sweet. Sexy ladies from the 80s who are indiscreet. They're side by side, they're glorified. Where the underworld can make believe. Where the underworld can make believe. 42nd Street. My purse! He stole my purse!
The big parade goes on for years. It's the rhapsody of laughter and tears. Naughty, bawdy, gaudy, sporty, 42nd.
It's the rhapsody of
elements of Gower Champion in that number. These are the steps and
Daisy Quills, that Wall Street Jack
Well, that was the finale. Well, now let me tell you the real finale. Gower Champion, the opening of 42nd Street had been postponed numerous times without any clarity why. And David Merrick, who loved publicity, just kept saying the show might not open, it wasn't good enough, and none of that was true. It was just Gower Champion kept disappearing. The cast never knew where he was, and the reality was he kept checking himself into the hospital for infusions. By this point in time, he's dating the leading lady in 42nd Street, Wanda Rickert. And she's old enough to be his daughter, frankly. But in any event, opening night, as some of the choreography you've just seen, stopped the show 6 or 7 times. Meanwhile, the morning of the opening, David Merrick promotes the opening, and the day before the opening, Gower Champion checks himself into the hospital, but dies early the next morning of opening night. No one knows this except for David Merrick. And what David Merrick does is swear everybody to secrecy, tells no one. And what he then does next is calls all 11 broadcast stations in New York at the time and tells them to have their cameras ready in the theater for the biggest announcement they'll ever hear from a Broadway stage on opening night. Well, no one knew what this was going to be, and they all agreed they had cameras in place. This is what took place.
He was in intensive care. I
So imagine you've just given this great opening night performance, and then your producer comes out and tells the world that the director of the musical has died. They had no idea at all, and it was just a stunning moment. That event ended David Merrick's career effectively. No one wanted anything to do with him because as time went on, he thought this would ensure a run for 42nd Street, and 42nd Street was phenomenal, and it ran for something like 7 years. But the reality was they felt that the cheap trick of announcing Gower Champion's death from the stage of the theater as if it were a movie event of some sort shamed him in the world of Hollywood, for the world in Broadway forever. And by this point in time, he was really quite a character, renowned for his bad stuff like this. It just really, why he did it, who knows? But he really didn't think through. It was really, really a terrible event. I will make it so you can unmute yourselves if you want to ask a question of me. And let me just remind you about next week. You will get the link. I've sent everybody an email. You will get the link late Thursday night to watch the pre-recorded lecture for next Friday, because I will be on my way to a cruise ship as I'm planning right now. And I don't want anyone to be cheated of a great Friday morning with me. So it will be free. It's pre-filmed. I'll send you the link next Friday night, and you'll have it. You can watch it Friday morning at 10:30 at your regular time, or anytime you want, or as often as you want. Also, I did mention earlier, we are going back to Broadway. Our first event is on October the 16th. I believe it or not, it's almost sold out already. I announced it on Monday, and I did send out an email. One or two of you have sent me a text saying that you've never received it, but I will send it again. There's maybe 6 seats left if anybody's interested in joining. It's Saturday, October the 16th. We leave from Bethesda and also in Howard County. And it's $3.99 orchestra seats for Tina. Adrienne Warren is still set to be in it, recreating the Olivier Award winning portrayal that she created. So again, I've sent out the announcement about next Friday already. You'll get the link Thursday night for watching on Friday morning. And I hope y'all enjoyed Gower Champion this morning. I mean, just great choreography. I mean, you sit there, it's dazzling as you sit and you watch it. Okay, everybody, I'll talk to you soon unless there's anything. I see 5 new messages, so let me just scroll down. Is that a question I hear? Yes, Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, that last clip you played, the finale, and which is magnificent. Can you tell us where you got that? Because I'd like to see it over and over again.
YouTube.
Okay,
Just Google 42nd Street on YouTube, and you'll probably find it. If you can't find it, send me an email, and I'll try to send you the link.
That's great. Thank you, and have a great cruise.
Sure. Rosalie, sure, go ahead. Rosalie.
Steve, what's going to happen for the next Fridays while you're on the ship?
I'm planning to lecture just as always, and if I find that the Zoom doesn't work, I have it pre-filmed.
Okay. Have a
So
great
you're not going to
time.
miss me, I promise.
Have a great time.
I sure hope so. I hope I can get there. Yeah.
I have a question too, Steve.
Sure, Ben.
So, one question is from dating back a few weeks ago when you were talking about the choreographer, when you were talking about Tura Rollins and all, and you mentioned Fiddler. My question was, it's about Fiddler. My question is, you know how South Pacific didn't run as well in England because people weren't familiar with what they did understand. But with Fiddler, did Fiddler not run it as well in England also because there weren't as many Jews there? And
No, actually, there's a big Jewish community. There's a big Jewish community in London, but Fiddler on the Roof has been running universally wherever it plays in the world. It runs well. It's always a success. It's a universal story. Glad you asked. Anybody want to know anything else? Okay, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh.